Hello again, everybody. This is Carpo. This would be probably part 2 of the video I just made. We got cut short on the last one due to budget cuts. I actually have ran out of space on the memory card, so anyway, that's good because I wanted to take this in a different direction, or in the same direction but a different. I figure only a dedicated few might even make it this far and watch part 2 of something that where I rambled on so long. But I was getting to the main point, that was that we can't be believing what everybody else is telling us, and we can't rely on ourselves to trust what we see. And the fact is, you can't believe what you see. You can only believe what you can reinforce over and over again, right? So, we have multiple choices in life. And when we choose to, say, make a difference, or to try to make an impact in the world, we can choose to either go right out and yell and scream and protest and show our anger with the whole situation, or we go underground and deal with it from the inside. And this is how it goes for everything. Now, there's nothing wrong with people going out and protesting. It needs to be done, because otherwise the mass media would never cover it. I mean, but the basic thing about protests is a lot of people say that they don't work. The fact is that they don't work if you're trying to change the system by protesting, but they do work if you're trying to change people's minds in the community, as long as you don't have your protest infiltrated, and that's another problem. But you protest to show people that you're aware that people really care about things, like the Monsanto March, stuff like that. More and more people are becoming aware. But you're never going to change the system by protesting. That has to be done strictly on an individual basis, from the inside out. And every one of you has a responsibility, just like I do, to do anything you can, but only you know what you're best at. And I think there's a lot of, so many different types of people. Some people think that they're better than everybody else. And you know what? I wrote some funny stuff when I was younger that I was like, I'm almost embarrassed to read now, because even a song I wrote where I sang it and I was talking about how, living among the ignorant, people, it really bothers me to think that how I saw myself when I was like, say, 18 to 25 or 15 to 25, whatever, that, it's something that most, kids go through. But I thought that I had all the answers, and I guess I did in the long run, because I saw what the adults were doing wrong. I guess I saw the same way I do now, that the world isn't what it appears to be, that we're not just here to work. And I said, I'll never be a slave, and I was always opposed to the system. But as you get older, you start to see through so many things, and see things so differently, and start to say that it's not all bad, that people aren't all dumb. And that's the thing, is that people are not as stupid as a lot of folks would have you believe. What a lot of people like to call sheeple, are just merely unaware folks, and a lot of them are ignorant. And that doesn't mean bad. That means they are ignoring the facts, or they're not aware of the facts. Ignorant isn't a bad word, but folks tend to use it as one. But when people are made aware, then plant the seed, then at least they can grow. The fact is, a lot of the people haven't heard of things like the dangers of fluoride, or the dangers of antidepressants. Everybody's heard about nuclear power, but how many people are aware of the damage that fracking's actually doing, or why it's doing what it's doing? The types of things that are leaching into groundwater. And this is the thing, we make ourselves aware by seeking out this shit on the internet, and that's the best defense that we have. And it's honest, because the people are mostly, a lot of folks would say, oh, well, You know, the internet, I only learned some stuff on the internet, but it's like, well, where else do you learn it? If you don't believe in mainstream media, then where else do you get your information? Do you travel the world? No, that's great if you could do that, but even then, are you going to get the answers? No. You look at every little bit of information that floods through the internet, look at all the little personal narratives and chat rooms and people who are really involved in stuff, and build a picture of what's really going on. Now, if each one of us can build a picture of what's happening in the sections that we're most interested in learning, and then share that with the world, then that's doing a service. So while a lot of people sit back and say, I can't do anything, you can present something you've found. And I think that a lot of people are embarrassed to do it because they're afraid they might be ridiculed by others, which is totally possible. You know, everybody's been harassed. You know, if you start talking about a subject, you either have to A, know what you're talking about, or B, admit that you're completely ignorant, which is what I do. Disclaimer, I don't know anything, but that's kind of, you know, I'm not, when you're trying to hold up your ego, you don't want to stick your neck out. So once you let that go and present anything that you find, it's great. You know, some of my favorite people that I subscribe to, and people maybe that I've gone to their channels and stuff, my favorite ones are the simple ones. You know, not when people start talking about, you know, doing extreme mathematics, explaining God or the universe, I just, you know, I'm not interested. I love quantum physics, and I think it's a cool subject, and I understand the basics of it, but not the formulas, and I don't understand that kind of math, so it doesn't interest me, but I understand how important it is. So I respect things, even if I don't understand them. And that's the key, I think, to understanding one another, is if you don't understand where a person's coming from or understand what they're talking about, you may be on a completely different level. You may think that you're totally aware of something and they're just ignorant, but really you may be the one that's ignorant. Find this out years later. And that's what has to stop, is people arguing about the details of something that neither one of them can prove. Both of them got their information secondhand, which reverts back to the internet comment. When you see two people fighting on the internet about what happened at a certain event, or whether this was a false flag or this happened, you know that neither one of them were there. I mean, like, people that are so convinced that this never really happened, that this is just a media fraud or cover up, and that's a good example of one. And then you find out that neither one of the people were there. So I'm like, well, if you weren't there, then where'd you get your information? From the internet. So it's internet feeding off of internet, feeding off of internet, and recycling the same old stuff. So all of it has to just either lead to a solution or get out of the picture altogether. And that's where we need to come together. So you can research anything and present it, and fuck the haters, you know. Do your thing, you know. A lot of people are afraid of being exposed, or like having themselves out in cyberspace. And, you know, I was like that too. I guess at one time I was kind of just like, I don't want all my info out there. Now I'm just like, I don't care, you know. I'm just a dude. I'm part of the universe, part of this world. We're all out there on camera. It doesn't matter, you know. You're part of the system whether you like it or not. You can't leave it. And if you don't love it, then you got to fix it. And that's what we got to do. So, I did cancel my Facebook account because I found it to be disturbing, to say nonetheless. I canceled it for a year, and then I started it again just to meet up with somebody, and then I canceled it again because it was so disgusting to me. You know, credit unions and fucking Walmart trying to get me to like them. I mean, why don't people see through that illusion? I hear a lot of people that say, oh yeah, you know, you're buying into the system, and follow me on Twitter, you know. I don't know. Everybody's part of it. We're all stuck in this. Anybody who's talking on the internet, unless they're just being filmed and somebody else is putting the video out, we're all part of it, and that's okay. We just have to acknowledge it. Well, I guess I'll leave you with the idea that that's why I made this kind of two-part videos, because I've really been thinking it's time to... I might just start another channel for a while, or revamp this one or something, but you know, I still want to do my random rants. I want to have a separate channel for very specific local action. And the thing is, that's why I don't want to do a Portland-based action. I want it to be able to affect everyone, and so it's kind of hard. Like maybe an area where people can, I don't know, exchange ideas. But you know, that brings me to the main point that I really wanted to make that I almost forgot, was that, you know, I mentioned it before in the other video, but groups, organizations, they will always be infiltrated. And people talk about, you know, disinfo agents and people who are hired by the government and by organizations to infiltrate and go join groups and clubs. It's true. I mean, it's not. See, that's the thing, is that that's one of those deals that folks are like, oh, it's just paranoia, but it's not. It's been proven. And any group that is involved in any type of a movement or a move for change, if it's not the change that the people in charge want, then they'll infiltrate that group. And the bigger the group gets, the harder it is to find these people. And they are your average, you know, these people are trained to just look like your average Joe, you know, really trying to make an impact. That's why no matter what we learn, no matter how much we try to move and change the world, and try to change the way our country is, change the system, you can't do it by going out and yelling and complaining about it, which sucks, because that would be nice if that worked. Unfortunately, their guns are too big these days. The right to bear arms doesn't work anymore. We have no chance against them. And that's the whole thing, is people talk about, oh, I want to be able to defend myself against the government. Give me a break. You know, they've got snipers and SWAT teams. What the fuck are you going to do? You know, you're going to die one way or another. We'll take a few of them out. Well, that's not the point. The point is to live. So, each one of us, I guess, well, hold on a second here. Let me back up. We can't change the system by going in and protesting or screaming or complaining about it. We also can't change the system by going to the inside and trying to break up the corruption and the evil within the government, because either A, the person will be influenced to join them, or B, he'll be forced to with threat or otherwise. And C, we can't opt out completely of the system because there's nowhere left to go. So, whenever you join a big group, you end up causing more problems than it's worth in the end. Somebody takes advantage and makes a profit off of it. And so each one of us has to look at it this way. If you are involved in a movement, are they selling merchandise to make profit? And if so, is it going to the right sources? How much do they really make? You know, is this just another scheme? Because there have been plenty of schemes in the history that have looked really good to people. I mean, look at Scientology. So, each person has to make their own decisions if they want to fall for the bullshit or not. And I would urge people to stick together and try to like make an impact any way they can, because I don't want my kids to grow up in a world where they believe that someone else is in control of their destiny. And I'll do damn well to teach them that they are independent thinkers and that they can make their own decisions in life. And they don't have to go to college right out of high school and get a prestigious career to make more money. It's not about the money. I've told my kid that forever. I have a kid that just graduated last year. He's almost 19 now, and he's just out, you know, hanging out, has a girlfriend. He's a great man, you know, and he wanted to go to college, but yeah, he's gonna maybe wait a while. You know, it's his choice. He can do whatever he wants. I got 2 other kids, you know, and I'm gonna raise them to hopefully be just as good, you know, and adjusted to the world. So, you know, it's funny that in my videos, I really don't know how far people make it, but I do ramble a lot, and it's funny because I've been listening to other people. I've been listening to a lot of Max Eigen lately. Max Egan. I'm listening to a lot of his older stuff since I haven't heard of him before, recent times. And I found that it's just like anything that you listen to over, if it's built up over a long period of time, say whether you're watching a TV series all in a row, or listening to a bunch of radio shows all in a row, or whatever. Like, for example, there was a time I was into Coast to Coast AM, and then the subjects got boring after I'd listened to a bunch of episodes. And then these days, you know, I've been listening to other stuff to change the world, not to just look at the world, see what's going on. And that's what Max Eigen's all about. But even he repeats himself over and over and over. And so I don't feel so bad doing it, I guess, because that's the whole thing. Repetition is the key to change. To keep telling ourselves that if we make an honest effort to change ourselves and to be as good as we can, then we just have to have faith that the rest will fall into place. And whether you're a religious person or not, that is what they would mean by allowing God to do your own thing, or to doing your own thing and allowing God to pull you through and take you the right direction, assuming that everything will go your way. So each person has their own strange way of making it through life and making it worthwhile, because if we didn't, it'd be pretty lame. So namaste, everybody. Before I wanted to say this poster back here, if anybody was wondering, it's dementia. I made it in silkscreen class, and let's see, freshman year in high school, I think, and it was my first rock band, and we played like Metallica covers, like Small Hours and stuff, and good times. It's crazy, I've had that for a long time. I just found it up there, so I'm like, well, I'll post it up behind me. Give some props to the band, to Glazer and Barnum, and I think that was it. A long time ago. Music rocks. Peace.